If you noticed, we have 2 Gold Star tables out there. Please go and talk to both of them. One is an organization I don't know much about, and I apologize. The other is a Gold Star mother who wrote a book, and I want her to speak about that for a second. Michelle Black. She got a Gold Star widow.
My name is Michelle Black, and I am a Gold Star widow. My husband, Brian, a Green Beret, was killed in an ambush by ISIS militants in Niger, Africa in 2017. It was the largest loss of American life on the continent of Africa since the Battle of Mogadishu. Because of this, the Niger ambush quickly became national news. An investigation was opened up by AFRICOM, and my family looked forward to learning the details of the event that took Brian's life. As the investigation unfolded, news began to spread of a team who had gone rogue and acted like cowboys. The problem? I knew Green Berets and I knew my husband. They do not go rogue. While waiting for the investigation results, I received word that CBS News released an ISIS propaganda video made with head cam footage stolen from the body of one of the soldiers. It showed the deaths of my husband, Brian, and his 2 teammates, Jeremiah and Dustin. The video spread like wildfire across all social media platforms. My children now have the choice of watching their father die on YouTube. 6 months after my husband's death, I finally sat in a briefing room with investigators ready to get the details about the ambush. What I got instead were lies and half-truths. Despite not being able to give me a detailed timeline of events on the ground and a clear unwillingness to answer any of the questions, the officials from AFRICOM wanted me to trust them. The team was at fault for the ambush, and they would be punished. The following week, a media brief of the investigation was held, and General Waldhauser, then commander of AFRICOM, stated, "The special operators on the continent of Africa are serving well. Based upon my observations, this particular team is not indicative of what they do." I watched dumbfounded as my husband and all those who fought and died alongside him were dishonored by the very leadership who had ordered the mission that cost them their lives. I am the widow of Staff Sergeant Brian Black, but that day I became something else. What I became has been labeled several different things: an investigative journalist, an author, a woman scorned, but I prefer simply to believe that I am a military spouse who expects her husband's sacrifice to be respected and honored by those at the highest levels, and when I must, I will demand it. After the general dishonored the men so publicly, I decided to get the detailed timeline of events on the ground myself. I interviewed the surviving team members, individuals who were at the AOB during the ambush, upper-level officers, a heliborne unit commander who was involved in the incident, and a former South Africa commander. I used the truth to pull apart the lies AFRICOM told in their redacted report and show who was truly responsible for what happened that day to my husband. The result is a book published last month by Putnam, a subsidiary of Penguin Random House. I am an author, but first and foremost, today. Brian was from VFW Washington and hoped to move back after his service. At the time of his death, we were living in North Carolina with our children. My family was in California and his in Washington State. I wanted to move back to the West Coast so I could be somewhere that my children and I felt loved and supported as I raised them. I am here in Washington State today specifically because of VFW Post 2224. During my trips to choose a new home, I began to see an incredible pattern forming when I visited Brian's parents in Puyallup. The VFW and surrounding community consistently pulled together around our family. Some of the first people I met when I came out to the post, or out to Washington, was Post Commander Steve Woodward and Junior Vice Commander Paul Herrera and their wives. Following the ambush, Post 2224 worked with the city to hold a memorial service in honor of Brian. That May, during their Memorial Day ceremony, they did a moving tribute to my husband. They came out and supported us as we had chess tables installed as a memorial at the local park. They were there each step of the way, and they have been there on some of the hardest days since. In my small hometown in California, no one seemed to notice a thing about my husband passing, my children, and our plight. But here at VFW Washington's VFW Post 2224, a small army raised up to show us love and do all they could to honor and remember my husband. It was because of their strong sense of community, honor, and respect for the fallen that I made the decision to move my children just up the road from my in-laws. And it is why I recently decided to become a lifetime member of the VFW and join the auxiliary. So I thank you all for what you do and what you stand for. But more than anything, I believe my in-laws thank you all. Because of your community, I made the decision to raise my children here. And that decision has brought so much healing to my children and to my in-laws. And for that, we're all very grateful.